Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Ocast. Tonight, it's another episode of the Hebridean Hammerlock, your regular wrestling series, diving into the crazy fun world of wrestling. And tonight, joining me, Kenny. How's it going?
Not too bad.
Aye, it's always good. It's Friday anyway, with chilly night. Talking about wrestling, what more do you want, Kenny?
Oh, how long have you got?
Yeah, there's a lot more you could want. But this will do anyway for the time being. I couldn't really find that much info on YouTube, just little bits and pieces everywhere. So happy to announce the Disco Fry himself is here, Chip Watson. Welcome to the Hebridean Hammerlock. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for having me. I checked out some of the stuff after you guys reached out, so I listened to the Rumble episode, so I know what I'm in for. So I listened to it after the Rumble though, so he's looked wrong on everything. So.
Right. Oh, great internet critic ahoy! So, as always, how did you get into this wrestling thing? Have you always been a big wrestling fan, or was it later in life you caught the wrestling bug?
I had it nice and easy. My dad really liked wrestling, so everyone always talks about. I remember watching wrestling when I was 6 or 8 or 10. I as far as I'm aware, I was like 5 weeks old, sat on my dad's lap watching. And I don't remember that, but it's just always been a thing. And I was pretty, I've been watching pretty consistently. Go round to my dad's, he would have taped it on Sky. We'd watch SmackDown, Velocity, Heat, watch a bit of everything, and then got really into TNA with I think Dave and the Wrestling Channel, and then I had a break around 5th and 6th year of high school. Just kind of fell out of it, so I missed some like strangely big events, like things like the Shield. Guys that have become massive in the industry. I think I came back after they had already split and had their their main feuds. And then got back into it with the launch of the network because it was ideal. I was at uni. I didn't go to classes. I, sat skipping culinary school, skipping marketing classes, but would watch NXT. And that's sort of like guys that I had seen on the indies. Because like when I say my dad's a wrestling fan, like my dad traded tapes. So like he had like PWG tapes, Noah tapes. So like not just your WWE. He was properly into it. So seeing guys like Steen, Sami Zayn, that got me back into it. Seeing that they're actually doing well, but I can watch it on demand. I can watch it live, and then didn't really stop watching it from there. And then I was on a treadmill in the gym and went, I could do wrestling. So I shot Joe Hendry a DM and said, where can I do some wrestling? And he went, I've got a school, you should come along. And I went, you know what? I'm just going to do it to help me lose some weight. I was playing 5-a-sides at the time, but I was getting tired of getting my ankles snapped pretty consistently. So I wanted something else to channel the fitness into. Started going along and just, it went from, I'm just going to do this as a casual thing to like, I need to make this work within like 5 minutes. Like it was infectious. A lot of that was the community of guys that I trained with, and no doubt I will inadvertently put them over throughout this because I can't help but do that. But it was just one of those. I walked in, I took my first, bump, not even in a ring. The beginners trained at like a gym, like gymnastics based park, so it had soft padding and everything. And you earned your way to training on the mat. But just caught the bug right away, and that would have been 3.5, maybe 4 years ago now. So it's been a fast paced 3-4 years, but I need to remind myself sometimes that I'm still, in the grand scheme of wrestling, very new to the industry as a worker.
Yeah. So I said it just how long was it before that till your first actual ring appearance? Like, was it fairly fast or in trainee terms?
My debut was in Peterhead for a promotion called Community Pro Wrestling, which is Ravy Davies' promotion, mainly based on the West Coast. But he was running a show in Peterhead. One of the workers on that show, Big Strong Man, I believe was away doing. He did something with Eddie Hall, so that opened a space. He reached out to Joe. Joe asked me if I had my gear ready. I did, so went up and did that on kind of 3 days notice. But I think by that point I had been training for pretty much 13 months.
All right.
And that had been, I had Joe had me sussed very early on that I'm not a guy who does well being comfortable. If I get to the position with anything where I'm like, yeah, I can turn up and, I'll be fine, that I get bored, I switch off. It's probably some undiagnosed ADHD or something similar. So he put me into the way it was initially was Sundays was for beginners and then Tuesday was advanced. So he put me into the advanced fairly early, maybe after 6 weeks, and just went sink or swim. So after a year of that, training with Joe, Ian Skinner, great guy, works up and down Scotland, is wrestling on North right now, I believe. And then DCT, who's now over in Australia, big ICW guy, and Emerson Jane, arguably the best female wrestler in the UK, one of the best Scotland's produced. Training with them for a year, got the opportunity, wrestled Ross Hauser in a singles match, opened the show as well. Lots of things that, like, as a fan, before I got into wrestling, I always assumed when you debut, you'll be like in an 8-man tag and you'll be one of 7 people that are more experienced than you, and you'll be on the pre-show. And it was like, nope, this is our first time in Peterhead. It's important, and you're opening the show. Go. And always going to be grateful to Davey and the CPW team for giving me that opportunity. But it's a strange one because it was a very different version of me than now. This was pre-Treadle Chef. This was Charlie, not Chip. But as I was stood to go out from the curtain, I expected, like, I'm a guy I get nervous. And I think people who say they don't get nervous are lying. I think that nervousness might express itself in a different way. But I was expecting to be stood behind that curtain with, like, heart racing. It's the calmest I've ever felt. My music was about to play. I was about to go out for my first time, perform in front of a crowd that had no idea about me. I had no idea really what I was. I'd never done a student showcase or anything like that. A lot of guys, when they train, will do shows in their training school, in front of, like, casual crowds, or the gala circuit's a big way. Mine was very much we think you're ready, just don't mess it up. And I've watched that match back semi recently. It's very much a first match, but nothing goes awry, and it's it's pretty solid. And I've worked Ross 2 more times since then at various points. See each other all the time, so it's a nice one to get in. And as a football fan, being able to walk out from my debut into the Peterhead changing rooms and see I always forget what they call them. One of the little flags you give a team when you play them. They had one from Hearts, which is my team.
Is it a pendant or something like
yes,
that?
Yes, a pennant. Yeah. They had one of them from Peterhead versus Hearts friendly. So that was really nice. I do now work for one of Peterhead's rivals in football, so I should say boo Peterhead. But they'll always have a special place in my heart for that debut.
Kenny, do you want to come in there?
Like, with me, I don't know much about your career. I literally just heard about you a few days ago. So for me tonight, I am literally just learning, I'm just taking in everything and just,
No, like you say, it's weird. I think when you're involved in wrestling, because you do so much, like our guys at Discovery Academy and in the Discovery team, you're training twice a week minimum in ring. You're at the gym 3 to 4 days a week. You're doing seminars. You're doing your social stuff. You feel like 4 years is massive, but really I've been on shows properly for about 2 years, and sometimes it's quite good to have a reality check of there are guys I train with that have been doing this longer than other people I train with have been born. So I think it's good to find the balance of being patient, but not being too patient. I think you do kind of have to grasp opportunities.
Yeah, you've got to have that ambition there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you could sit and wait your turn too much, but at the same time, you don't want to, think about, oh, I should have this and I should have that, and why does this person get it and I don't? I'm really lucky in that, obviously because Joe was doing so well over in the WWE. Big up Joe, because he's doing so well. I've been afforded opportunities to I think my 8th match ever was in Germany, and there are people that Germany is one of those prime. When I was a wrestling fan, WXW, watching guys like Gunther come through that scene, Ludwig Kaiser, that's like a bucket list for a lot of people, and I got to do 8 matches in front of 800 people because Joe liked the character. God Myself Alone was helping out, and Joe was rewarding hard work there. And then also just through for my money, I think the Scottish wrestling scene is in a really fun place just now, where you've kind of got wrestling scattered all across. For the main ones for me just now are WrestleZone, who are up Aberdeen based. One of the best backstage environments I've ever been in. So organised, so professional, so relaxed, but in a good way. Fans that have been going to, WrestleZone shows for 10, 15 years that are fully bought into, the characters. They've got a guy there, Scotty Swift, that at his peak, when I say he was like John Cena in Aberdeen, it's not even a hyperbole. It's crazy. You've got Discovery in Edinburgh. You've got, and then around it, you've got, Power Pro, Valor, Iron Girders in Glasgow, CPW in Glasgow, APW. There's a lot of good places to work. FCW in Dundee, and ones that I will definitely just forgetting just because I'm not as close with guys on those shows. But there's a real good core group of lads in Scotland just now, and I think it makes it this really good environment where, everyone wants each other to do well, but also wants to do better than each other, because you should. The prime example for that for me is Judas Gray. Judas Gray is a guy that I started a year and a bit after, came through Discovery Academy as well, is probably going to be the biggest name in Scottish wrestling. He's on a path that, could see him be bigger than Drew McIntyre. He is wrestling North main events, TNT main events. I wouldn't be surprised to see him pop up in Progress. He's the guy in Discovery. Yeah, him and Ronan King, Team is Vanity, are probably the 2 best wrestlers Scotland's produced in a while. And they are just ridiculous. But I watch them and I'm super happy for them as my friends.
Yeah.
But with a hint of, right, what are you doing that I'm not? What can I look at and go, okay, I've not been to the gym today. Bet Judas has. But at the same time, we all push each other to the point where, Ronan King's got Catch Fitness, a PT thing. I work with him. We had a chat about what was going to work for me. And now if I don't go to the gym, he DMs me calling me fat. And it's from a place of love, but it works, It's a real good environment. I think that sometimes wrestling tries to be too different to anything else.
Yeah.
It's not football and it's not, the theatre. Yeah. It's somewhere in between. So it kind of needs to try and draw from both. But it is ultimately, if the Scottish scene is to get better, there needs to be some level of collaboration and improvement. And I think it's great to see, people training at multiple schools. I think is always a good sign. People from Iron Girders, Power Pro coming over to Disco, people from Disco going over to them, up to WrestleZone, just learning from everyone, because you look at some of the coaches you've got in Scotland, you've got Aspen Faith, a man who I always say has forgotten more about wrestling than anyone will ever forget. It's incredible. You said go to him, I found this really crazy wrestling from Nepal. They're wrestling in a ring and it's at the side of the Himalayan mountains. And he goes, oh yes, it's this match from this show at this state. And that guy actually once wrestled Psychosis in Mexico and broke his arm, and it was his left arm. It's incredible. honestly, I sit down with Aspen and we'll just be having a chat, and I'll drop something in like that, and he introduced me to this thing called WrestleMap, and it's an interactive map that just has every promotion in the world that they've got a link to, and you just sit and go, why is there a wrestling promotion in Micronesia? What do you mean they've got a YouTube channel? And then all of a sudden you're 10 hours deep into that. Like,
yeah,
you've got Aspen Faith, you've got BT Gunn, Wolfgang, Emerson Jane, Ravy Davy. You got the guys up at WrestleZone as well. It's there's just so much across all of the schools. Andy Wild. It's a good place just now.
Yeah, because I think it is showing in just the representation Scotland has on the bigger stage. We seem to be punching so above our weight in just the terms of names we have. Because, we can't deny WWE's the pinnacle. And just the amount of Scottish talent in there, it's like, guy, for this country, like, we're really producing here.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I think it's representation is so important. And, in the scale of representation, I think seeing a Scottish person is maybe not as important as some of the other representation. But I think to look at someone like Drew and someone like Joe, who I think are the two big ones just now, but that's not to take away from your Kaylee Rays, your Piper Nibbins and such, and your Noam Dars. But you look at those two and you go, they had very different paths to the WWE. Drew was kind of handpicked. He was this really tall, jacked Scottish guy that, the guy picked was going to be this. He went away, kind of stayed in contact, but used the indies to kind of build the hype up again and got picked up. And then you had Joe, who, did the stuff with Rusev as an extra, did his route, but then it was becoming a viral meme and capitalizing on that and keeping that momentum going while still being a very good wrestler in his own right that, took him there. He also got there a bit older. I think Joe was, mid to late 30s. So, you sit and look at that and go, okay, well, I'm 29. I started fairly late. Maybe there is a route for me in 8 years to end up there. I think, generally speaking, I think that most people you speak to on an independent wrestling show either want to wrestle for the WWE, they want to wrestle in Japan, or they want to be king of the indies. Those are kind of the three things.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the rise of AEW, that kind of becomes a fourth option, but I think that kind of ties into the king of the indies, where I think they still want to do those other ones. Most people just want to make a living doing this. But WWE was seen as the way to do it. But I think there's so many ways now. You look at guys like Matt Cardona, who were doing signings every weekend, wrestling on any show that would pay their wage. Obviously, they had that WWE exposure beforehand, but you could look at various other examples of people doing that. So it's good to see Scotland punch its weight. Also, the one that always surprises me, and it shouldn't, because they've got some phenomenal training down there. But Wales, some of the talent coming out of Wales, given the size of it, is ridiculous. Like, and they've not necessarily had a Drew McIntyre level success story yet, but the quality of wrestler, guys like Flash Morgan Webster, Noam Dar, not Noam Dar, sorry, Flash Morgan Webster, Wild Boar, guys like that coming out of there. It's just the talent level. Tegan Knox, who was obviously in AEW and WWE, it's just crazy. And it's also just one that every so often I'll watch someone wrestle and then find out they're Welsh and I go, oh, that makes no sense, because their fundamentals are at such a level that it's just, you clearly came through this scene.
Yeah, it's like when you think about wrestlers from the UK, you always think about England, Ireland, Northern Ireland, and Scotland. Wales is kind of, you never think about Wales when
Yeah.
So it is good to see that the Welsh wrestlers are starting to like show their stuff, starting to like become more prominent. It's like I didn't know that Wales had had a big wrestling community.
Yeah, it's crazy. They've got New Wave, which is Flash Morgan Webster, Wild Boar, Brendan White, and they've got a school in the Midlands, but they've also got a school in Wales. And everyone I spoke to, I've not gone down myself yet, but guys that I've spoken to, Emerson, or like it's widely regarded as the best training in the UK. But I actually think it's when you look at it, you would expect England with size and with roots to kind of be successful, and it is. But Ireland's ridiculously successful. Finn Balor, Jordan Devlin over there. LG Cleary, like on the indies, you had Sheamus, Becky Lynch coming through that route, Lyra Valkyrie, Debbie Keitel in Japan. And again, you're going, population-wise, that's a great success rate if you consider, how many people.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is now that people know that there's a route there because of guys like Sheamus and Drew, and you look at that and go, okay, I should commit to this and just push. And there's so many different routes to get signed now.
Yeah.
You could be a freak athlete in America and get picked up on one of these, NIL deals where they don't care that you've not wrestled. They just like the look of you. You could be a 30-year indie veteran that gets picked up to, put people over and go and coach. Or you could be, you look at like a Leon Slater, prime example just now. Just go be the best wrestler in the world and you'll probably get signed. Easier said than done. But, beforehand, there were people of Leon's quality that just didn't get eyes on them. The one that immediately jumps out to me is Jody Fleisch. Jody Fleisch is a guy that 10, 15 years ago was doing proportionally as impressive stuff as Leon is now. And like he had opportunities eventually, but at his peak, those networks and those routes just weren't there. So it's great to see that just that accessibility is there. And I think a big part of that is the internet, social media. It's a lot easier to be, we can sit and chat. As someone who's not gone many matches online because of the internet, I could, the amount of viral clips we were talking about, the carrying cross clip before we went live, something that millions of people have seen, but pre-internet that just wouldn't have happened. So it's one of the upsides of the internet, and there's a lot of down, but it's one of the upsides.
Yeah, because Heather was saying that after the carrying cross incident, like she lives just outside of Detroit. I said she went to the mechanic the next week, and they spotted her sale. Then they were just saying, "Are you're the girl that got thrown into the ceiling a few weeks ago?" So yeah, that's me. I said she still gets that. I said, well, if you're going to be being thrown into the ceiling by carrying across, I'll take that any day.
Well, that's it. It's interesting because I think you don't want to. You want to try and get those viral moments. You want to try get those moments that are going to help. And I think it's so much better when it's something that you're like, we'll do this because it fits the match. That fit the match, and it wasn't something they had planned to throw into the roof. But you go, right, let's capitalize on it. Let's make the most out of this. And PPW, Pursuit Pro Wrestling, in Sheffield, 55,000 followers on Instagram, something like that for a wrestling training school is ridiculous, and it's because they've got Nathan Black there who just understands social media so well, and they put out great stuff, content that you just sit and consume, and as a wrestler it's great to watch and steal ideas from. The amount of stuff you see rock up in WWE that starts as a Will Cruz PPW reel is ridiculous, but it's social media has changed the game in so many ways.
And you were on there about like how Scotland, Wales, Ireland. Do you also think just the size of these countries and then the community's a little bit tighter, where it's like, we're not putting England down, but it's a bit more dispersed. So that whole pooling and sharing of ideas and resources can't really come off as well.
Yeah, it's really weird because like I'd be lying if I said that like the Scottish wrestling scene didn't have its issues of like, this is my turf, this is your turf, this is and like it's always going to happen just because of the basis of it, and also because market shares are so fragile in Scottish wrestling that people are worried about what it would mean for them, and people got livelihoods, and I get that. But it's the size of it means that it's without leaving England, you can pretty easily, as a good wrestler in England, wrestle Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every weekend of the month, or at least there are shows that you could be trying to. In Scotland, there's across the kind of the 6-7 main companies. You're maybe that might happen every so often, but it's not as much a guarantee. And then there's not many people that work for all of those. A lot of promotions in Scotland are linked with training schools, so they then got to prioritize their own guys just through the nature of that business model. You get people that break that mold, and I think that's where you start to see people that are onto something. I said this recently in another interview, so I won't spend too much on it, but when you look at last year, you've got Judas Gray, Ronan King pre-injury, Omar Mohammed, Nick Justice, Planet A. Those are the ones kind of off the top of my head at Casino Brutal, who bridge the gap between pretty much every promotion. They just kind of get used. And part of it is, I think, don't be unlikable, be a nice guy, be genuine, make people want to spend time with you. But also then those guys are just great, offer something very unique to each of them. You know, Planet A and Casino Brutal are both tag teams. One is, you know, intergender, character-driven, vegan anarchists, and the other is, you know, much more of their in-ring work, but like can still do, like Mikey Divine and Rabu's ability to do character stuff is phenomenal as well. So it's when you look at that, I would imagine that the same would be true of, you know, Ireland as well. And I know that, for example, there's two big promotions in Northern Ireland, but, you know, they're not necessarily like a complete crossover of rosters. They've got their own guys from their own schools and things. So I think just when you get to England, there's so many more promotions that aren't linked with schools, but also just there's just more. It's quite similar to football. You could go and find a 37-year-old English striker that's not particularly good, and they'll have played for like 18 clubs in England, and they still might have never played in the league that you watch. But if you find someone that's played for 18 clubs in Scotland, they've probably played in the Premier League. They've probably played in every championship team. You know, that there's just that smaller pool. But I like where the Scottish scene is headed. Obviously, British wrestling as a whole had quite a big reset in 2019 and 2020 for two vastly different reasons. And there was a little bit of recovery coming out of that. And, you know, before that as well, you had kind of the NXT UK impact, which whether or not people think that was good or bad, definitely had an impact. So it's kind of building back up. But I think you look at, you know, across the UK as a whole, you got OTT in Ireland who consistently put on phenomenal shows. Disco are drawing, you know, Discovery in Edinburgh now are just limited by the venue capacity. Joe's last show sold out in like 4 minutes, and it oversold. You've got North, TNT, Progress, Rev Pro. You know, you've got AW running in the UK because they know it's such a hot market. WWE running in Cardiff, AW running in Cardiff. And then, you know, Titanic in Northern Ireland as well. It's a real good place to be just now, but it's still some growth to go.
And so we haven't really talked about like your own character. Like, how did you come about, or did you have an idea for a character when you started?
I wanted to be Kevin Owens. I was a big beard. I've shaved the beard. I was a very large bearded, quite chubby guy. And like Kevin's team was one of my guys. I was a big PWG guy, big Kevin Owens and NXT guy. So I was like, I'll just be Kevin Owens. Not a great thing to do. Just try and be a B-Tech version of someone else. In wrestling, there seems to be people that become the new B-Tech, very popular. So there was tons of Jeff Hardy clones of the early 2000s that now there's yeah, exactly. Every backyard wrestler with a look. I think you've got a little bit of that with Ospreay at the moment. There's a lot of guys trying to be Ospreay just by dressing like Ospreay rather than, you know, thinking about being one of the best in the world. For a while, obviously, before that, you had there's so many people that want to be the Undertaker or some big spooky. Mine was Kevin Owens. There was not a lot of nuance to it. I was going to be the pint-sized powerhouse because I was fat and therefore that meant strong, and I was like 5'8", so, you know, pint size, and I'll be like Danny Dyer, a guy in the pub, and I'll fight. And then Joe Hendry went, yeah, I can put you on Discovery Wrestling if you do this character, and the character is called Chips. And I went, what if the character is called Chip Watson? Because Charlie Watson was the name I was using, and to me, I'm not Cher. I need a surname. So there was a bit of a dialogue there. That he had the skeleton of the idea of what he wanted with the Disco Fry and with Chips, and I just tried to flesh it out. There's been a lot of internal conversation with myself about how I frame the character to be something I love. Because I think you've got to love what you're doing in wrestling, especially indie wrestling. You're not making a lot of money. You're probably running at a loss. If you're not loving it now, you're not going to love it even when you're getting paid. So it was that thing that, okay, this is very clearly not what I wanted to be in wrestling. I didn't want to do as much comedy. I didn't want to be, super, unserious. I wanted to be like, big, mean, kind of throw people around. So it was okay. Maybe I'm better at doing this. And then I just started to look at guys that I consider the best of this, which would be like Chuck Taylor, and the main one, Gene Money, UK-based talent, has worked Discovery since the beginning, core pillar of Discovery Wrestling, but has done the transcendence of silly, goofy nipple tapes, zombie lumberjack matches to like Progress Atlas champion, Discovery Y Division champion, North champion. But he's still Gene Money. He's still the daft lad. He's still got the nipple tapes, and I've been lucky enough to share a locker room with Gene and to get advice from him that's kind of helped me realize that the character can be what I want to be now. It's, I can rock up to WrestleZone, wrestle a sailor, and have the crowd chanting fish and chips. And I can then go down and, be a bit more serious if I need to. Just because I don't show it all the time doesn't mean I need to do it. And it's still something that, I've got to come to terms with. But yeah, effectively that was Joe Hendry telling me that he thinks this would be for me and that there would be an opportunity on Discovery if I did it. And all I could think about was any backstage interview ever with someone that had been in the WWE where they went, yeah, if you get asked to do something stupid, just say yes and try and work it out later. So it was very much that. It was, here's an opportunity to wrestle for one of the biggest companies in Scotland, but do this thing. And I went, Fandango got over. Let's give it a go. So we've been chipped for 2 years now. I think I debuted in Ring and Discovery about 12 months ago, 18 months ago. I put something out recently about the exact timing on that. The character's evolving. It's, still the same thing. I'm still the tribal chef, Hiroshi Scranahashi, the boss man of British wrestling, all of the schisms, all of the kind of nicknames, but I can go a bit more in the ring. I can show a bit more of that style that I like to do, which is, I think, what's important. There was only so long that the same thing would have lasted. So I'm lucky that the Disco Faithful have really given me time and patience and have got behind this character. It's honestly, it's the strangest feeling going back to normal life after a Discovery show.
Yeah.
I get it after most shows, but like Discovery wrestling in front of 500-600 people that are fully bought into what I'm doing. I'm behind the curtain, my music plays, they're up and they're clapping and making noise before everyone walked out. And then I've got to go and be, boyfriend and dog dad and take the bins out the next day. And nobody's standing up and clapping me when I do that. It's a strange high to chase, but it's phenomenal.
Yeah, Heather was saying exactly the same thing after a weekend doing it, and like she's playing heel a lot as well.
Yeah.
And then having to be, say, like, I'm just a very quiet. And then like, people always walk up to, oh, you're so quiet and reserved. And say, well, my wrestling character is just basically me, I don't know, exploring myself a little bit, she says.
Yeah.
It's a side she doesn't get to do. She's too nervous to do anywhere else, but...
Those are the wrestling characters that I love. And I say that with a full thing of like, Chip at a show and, Chip just now, we're similar, but there's a lot of differences. Yeah. But I think the best wrestlers are the ones that are just themselves turned up to 100. Yeah. I think you need to be, especially in the world of social media where you're constantly interacting with fans, you're constantly trying to make content. It's a lot easier if you can just do something organic. I think one of the best for that is Omar Mohammed. TV's Omar Mohammed, to know his full title, who one of my best friends in wrestling, but he is so authentic in everything he does. And then he just comes up with these great ideas, and you will see half of Scottish wrestling coffee in him within 2 weeks, including myself, because you go, why didn't I think of this? And it's because he's just going, oh, I would like to watch that. Let me do it. I'm going to ask wrestlers their favorite things on Letterboxd. So it's good fun.
And and in a way you're quite like, because you came up with like one of the most Scottish characters you could think of, like the whole a guy who works in a chip shop. Just
it's an easy sell. It's I'm making my debut for a promotion in Italy. next month, IWA and Pro Wrestling Roma.
Please tell me you've said you're going to deep fry the pizzas.
I'm wait to see if they're going to big me or cheer me first, but it has been written down. It's the only thing that there's a whiteboard up here that just says deep fried pizza Italy ? But that was the case of those guys were looking for unique characters that could be explained in 2 or 3 sentences. And as you may have grasped from this interview, I'm not great at keeping things short and simple. I like my words, but this character was just super easy to go. Yeah, I run a chip shop and I wrestle because I want my chip shop to be world famous. There you go. That's what you get. And if you want that to be super serious and, I'm going to grease you up and beat you up, sure. But most of the time it's just me coming out, red polo shirt, checkered shorts that I've cut off, have a little goofy fun, and then try tell a story in between the ring. And I'm lucky enough to do it with one of my best mates, James Erdos, by my side. So it's good fun. And again, I've been so lucky in disco with sharing the ring with guys like Caleb Valhalla, Aspen Faith, Casino Brutal, these big characters to then learn from. Timing in wrestling is such a big thing. You can do all the cool moves in the world, but it's the timing, it's the pacing, and that's the biggest thing I'm still learning. So every time I get to go in with someone as experienced as them, it's just good fun.
And do you find they're a bit? Have you met some who are very? Like it was like the other week, like I say, I've been watching a lot of documentary. Like Macho Man was kind of quite famous. He would send his opponents like long sheets of saying, "This is what we have to do and when." Or are you more kind of go? You've got ideas what you want to, but you can go a bit more.
I've not had much of an experience with the first one. I think the closest to that is I've been helping out at Discovery Wrestling Academy, kind of with the beginners classes, and I was involved in a match that gave a couple of them the debut, and that was a bit more like that, because it was a controlled environment. But most of the shows I'm on, it's turn up on the day, maybe being told who I'm wrestling. So I've maybe thought of some ideas of, well, they do this, I do this. How does that gel? But it's then, what time do they turn up before doors? Let's put something together and then get out there. And even within that, you're maybe going, we'll do something here that leads to this. And I think if you try and make wrestling painting by numbers and like super planned, you don't leave room for the crowd to react. And especially with a character like mine, there's so many good opportunities to get moments that you want to pay off with those that if you don't leave the room to breathe for those, you're just missing out a lot of the tables. So I've not had anything there yet. I'm a big overthinker, so I will run through a lot in my head, right? If this goes wrong, how can I recover it? If, I want them to react like this, but they don't, how can we save it? A lot of guys that are super experienced will just go, this is the base, fill in what you need to know, and then let's go out there, and they can put their boots on and go out. I've not got that level of comfortability with it yet, but I'm starting to learn what I do that gets reactions and where I can place it and use it every time. So that's been great, and that just comes with time and reps and getting out in front of crowds. So but wrestling's a weird one. Wrestling in front of more people is less nerve-wracking than wrestling in front of less. I think the most I've wrestled in front of is maybe 750, but I've also wrestled in front of 4 people. I wrestled on a pre-show that they forgot to advertise, and 4 people were there, and you're sat going, we planned quite a fun match, but there are 4 people there. Let's just go out and do some stuff because there's 4 people there.
You might just go a bit wilder there and just we'll just go with it because there's only.
I just always look at it as like if 10% of the crowd love you, and there's 1,000 people in the crowd, that's a lot more people than if there's 4. So it's just a game of percentages at that point. But I've been lucky that WrestleZone I got really positive reactions with. Last time I was up against Captain Allen, they really bought to the character. They really got behind. They were chanting fish and chips, which is just ridiculous at a wrestling show, but that's what it's all about. But also, like the disco crowd that I've had a lot of exposure to. I've been there consistently, and like some of the people that come along to disco are probably some of the most dedicated wrestling fans in the UK. Jessica is based in London. she travels up to Edinburgh for the show. She came across our show in Germany to show the support.
Thank you.
She shares all of the talent stuff. She's super engaged, but there's also there's fans like Greg that have been there since 10 years ago, since year one, like 8 years ago, like since year one, and have seen the story. I've seen people come and go. Have seen guys like Joe go from just guys that were on Discovery to the champ to the WWE. Seen the kind of evolution, and would know more about the history of the company than I would. And I always feel it's very important that they're giving me lots, so I try and make sure that as well as speaking to them and understanding them, that I make the time to sit and remember faces, remember names. That's quite an important thing for me. I was and I am fundamentally a wrestling fan. I had a wrestling podcast. I had so many wrestling podcasts that I need to be the wrestler that I, as a fan, would have wanted to talk to. I want to be the person that will. You want to stop and ask me for a photo and chat 10 minutes? Let's go.
Yeah.
I don't mind. You want to buy my merch, but you're a couple pounds short. I don't care. There you go. Have the t-shirt. I just want to be. I'm not the greatest wrestler in the world, but I can be your favorite. That's the Chip Watson mentality.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying, because I said before I went on, like, I'm in a new job and we're doing online training. I know it's funny you mentioned Wales, because one of the guys on there as well, he's based in Wales. And just while we were talking in between sessions, I mentioned wrestling, do a podcast, and he's a big wrestling fan as well. And he just said it was interesting with he's got two kind of 12, 13-year-old boys, because sort of prime age for taking. I said he's taking them to WWE in Cardiff, and then at most weekends he's going to the local performances. And when WWE came up again, oh no, Dad, let's go to the other one.
Yeah,
and it's just he was asking, I just said, well, they seem really nice, and they always come and speak to us like the wrestlers, and they always have time for an autograph. It's that connection. I think you don't really. It's so good in indie like that. Yeah,
I think it's also like it's an affordability thing. I think for me as well. Like there are and not to consistently put over Discovery because it's where I train, but a child's ticket at Discovery is £5.
Yeah,
for £5 you can come and see 4 hours of some of the best wrestling in the country as a child. You can buy a family ticket for 30 quid, and there's been should we raise the prices up? No, because it's a show for the people. It's a show for the families. We want it to be in a world where WWE, rightfully so, charging the price that they can, are charging insane amounts to then go and be in the 12th row of the 7th tier, and that it's cool. You get to watch your favorite wrestlers, but I think for me as a kid, and I say as a kid, when I was like 16, 17, getting the 10-hour mega bust in to watch Progress, it's because I could go and stick my middle finger up at Spike Trevay, and he would see it, and he would call me, some stuff that I probably can't say on a podcast. And you sit and go, oh, he insulted me. I feel part of the audience. Whereas like there's just that level of separation in big productions, and I think it's the same with music. You go and see your favorite artist at Wembley in front of 50,000 people. That's a great experience. Also going to see a band you like in front of like 70 people, where like they see you in the crowd and they can build that connection. And I think you can see that a lot in like stuff Ravy Davies doing in Glasgow. They're doing so much with the Church of Wrestling and all the kind of the kids around Govan and everything, and they built a proper community around that because they can engage with the wrestlers that they're there. So I think that's the main thing, is indie wrestling needs to remember its roots, and I think it's good that you've got family-friendly indie wrestling, and then you've got just good wrestling, because I think sometimes people think the kids just need the silly stuff, but kids deserve good wrestling too. I think it's the same argument as films. There's points where you watch a really bad film and you go, this is a bad film, and people go, it's for kids. Like, kids deserve good things as well. We had Toy Story. We have Toy Story. Why are they getting Migration? Why are they getting a really bad film about animated ducks when we got this masterpiece? And it's not just nostalgia. It's just, it is a better film. So I think it's important to, you can't just. There was a quote that was given to a friend of mine recently as feedback, which is, not everyone understands Shakespeare, but everyone understands Mr. Bean. And I think it's great, and I think serves a lot to Chip Watson. My gimmick is really easy to digest. prime Mr. Bean. But some kids love Shakespeare. So I think to deny them the opportunity to be exposed to it is a mistake.
Kenny, were you coming in there?
I was going to ask about the character. Did you see it becoming? Did you see Chip Watson becoming heel, or did you maybe think, oh, it might be a face? You know,
I think initially I thought this will be really easy to be a face, because I think it's lovable underdog. It's Santino Marella. It's Fandango. It's it's Joe Hendry. It's the people's character. I did think it would also be really easy to like just come out, be really greasy, throw food at people. Especially going to like other countries. When I wrestled in Germany, I was a face, but I think it could have been really easy to just come out and talk about how British food is better, because like realistically, British food is not better than a lot of things. It's pretty low down the list. It's probably somewhere along like, Micronesian Tongan food. I don't know what they serve, but we're no Italy.
Yeah.
But so I think playing into that would be really easy, because I also think it's important that you shouldn't have to change everything about your character to get booed or cheered. It's really the mannerisms. It's how you do it. I can come out and do a lot of the same stuff, just with a different attitude. I probably wouldn't come out to the Lancashire Hot Pots if I wanted to get booed, because that song's just too infectious. But yeah, I think it's one of those where I just look at kind of where I tried to look at that level of wrestler where like the obvious one in Scotland's always been Grado. And I've shared the locker room a couple of times with Grado, and he's great to watch, and he's an enigma. But I tried to look at how I could be somewhere between Grado and what I initially wanted to be with a PWG indie wrestler. So it's threading those lines, and it's not a balance that I've perfected yet, and it'll probably take me another 2-3 years before I'm close to that. But I'm very lucky with the network I've got around me to be able to draw on people much better than I am. They always say that like you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time you're around. And if that's the case, then I am super lucky, because I've got, one of the best that Scotland's produced in Aspen Faith, 2 of the best up-and-comers in Judas Gray and Ronan King. And then I've got Monstrum, who we don't like him, but, he drives. So that's helpful to be around. And then, guys like Omar Mohammed, Carmelai, Bruiser Brad, like the list goes on. I'm very lucky in terms of we could get together to watch some wrestling with 10-15 guys, and you've got different approaches coming from all over. It's good fun. And then there's people we started becoming friendly with throughout the scene that all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm in a show in Glasgow, do I know anyone on it? Oh, I do. I'm going down to this show in Newcastle, do I know anyone? Oh, here's 4 people I know. And that just makes it so much easier, especially like so many of the drives, like driving back from Tarbert at like 2 a.m, but you've got like 3 of your best mates in the car. It's honestly, at this point, if you told me I would never get further in wrestling than I am now, but I got to do it with the people that I'm with now for another 10 years, at that point, I'm just happy to do it. We'll be with my mates. That's the reality of it.
Yeah, it was just when you were speaking, I'm just reminded of a story Graham told. I don't know if you watched your John Cena episode.
I think I skimmed through it, yeah.
Yeah, it's where Graham told his story, like a connection with indie wrestling was, I think when he was 11, he grew up in Greenock, and himself and his dad took him and his wee brother down to watch. He didn't say who it was, but he did say he remembers after the show, they came out, the heel came out, and his brother decided to just go and boot him in the arse. I say, very Scottish, but very kind of indie wrestling scene.
Yeah. It's some of the stories that you get out of indies are incredible. I've been at shows where the crowd have thrown drinks in the ring. Grown adults in 2026 getting so invested in wrestling that they're throwing drinks at the heels. I've been on shows where like there's backstage locker room tension, but like the biggest one I always laugh about is, we were talking about Dark Side of the Ring, and they talk about the locker rooms doing drugs and everyone injecting backstage. I was at a locker room the backstage was a pub, and people were sat around the Nintendo Switch playing Mario Kart and Super Smash Bros. And honestly, I would much rather that. It's much nicer than what I imagine it used to be. And the best part is you still get some mad stories of like, the nights out, people hanging out, and all the stuff that goes on, and people still like a good drink. The nights out after a show in Aberdeen or a constant badness for my hangover limit. But yeah, it's at the same time you just have people sat backstage just chilling, making content. It's good fun. It's the indies are where I want to be. It's a combination of realism of like the character I've got, my ability, the age. Probably not going to get signed, but I would love to be that Matt Cardona kind of style of wrestling anywhere and anywhere. If someone wants me to fly over to Sweden and wrestle in front of 20 people, yes, sign me up. I like traveling. I like wrestling. It's a perfect combo.
Yeah. I had a question there and it just escaped my mind. Sorry, Kenny, have you got something there? Well, I'm trying to recover my thought. I just had that moment. It just went black there. I was listening to you.
I guess like you've with everywhere you've wrestled, like in Scotland, England, or Europe, like is there one place you absolutely love, like in Scotland, or across Europe, like one place that when you get told we want you on the card,
yeah,
you will say, definitely no bother, I'll be there,
Yeah.
every
the
time.
main one for me is anytime Discovery's running Portobello Town Hall, which has become the kind of the home of the new era. I was a fan of Discovery. I got on it through this character that wasn't maybe meant to wrestle and now is. And that's like, that crowd is my people. But also anytime I was desperate to get up to WrestleZone, I thought that the crowd in Aberdeen would be perfect for me, the backstage environment. So anytime that I've been afforded the opportunity to go wrestle for the WrestleZone guys, it's just phenomenal. And like there's a lot that I want to tick off. I wrestled for Iron Girders this year as part of Planet A's charity show, and that was great. That was something I wanted to do. I really like a lot of the guys over there. I really wanted to get involved. Still really keen to maybe try and do something with Power Pro as well. I'd love to get up to Combat League, up in kind of the proper Highlands of Scotland. Just like they're so far away from everything that they're just doing their own thing, and I think it's great what they're doing up there. I'd love to go up there and kind of express my own thing up there as well. I'd love to start getting involved more down in England. I've gone and trained down there. I've not had the chance to wrestle yet. I've theoretically wrestled in Germany and Italy before England, which is strange, but it's the way that things have worked out. But England's got such a plethora of its own talent that to then be, for a company to pay for the expenses to bring you down, probably put you in a hotel, you really need to be offering something. So it's just one of those. It's going to be a combination of the hard work that I need to put in, a bit of luck, because there is always a bit of luck. Somebody can't make a show and they know about you, or you know somebody. There's always going to be that bit of that, but I'm just going to keep putting in the hard work, showing up when I can, doing my bits and bobs. I think like the pinnacle for anyone in the kind of the northern scene is to wrestle for North. So I'd love to do that. They've got guys like Keg Stacker who's just retired, but who has, a very similar gimmick to mine, and managed to really resonate over there. So I like to think I'd be able to do something similar with a bit more work. But also just I'd love to just go and wrestle. There's so many promotions that just do their own thing, and I would just love to go and work for as many of them as possible across the world. Japan, China, Nepal, I don't care. Just let me wrestle.
Yeah.
The question I had was, it's come back to me, like, what's more rewarding to you, getting a whole crowd booing you or a whole crowd cheering you? Which kind of, does either one give you more satisfaction? When
I think I always wanted to be someone that got booed when I first started. And I think some of that was feeling like it was probably going to be easier to get people to boo me than cheer me, which was maybe something to do with some self-confidence issues or whatnot. But I just felt like I could go out there and be very unlikable very easily. But I tell you what, going out there and hearing a whole crowd chant "chit" when you're getting in the ring is like the 4-way I had at the last disco show. Omar Mohammed, Rabu, Aspen, some of the biggest names in Scotland. And as I'm in the ring, and before I come out, the pop of the crowd's great. Before the curtain come out, I'm in the ring. They start chanting for Omar. They start chanting for Chip, and I'm going, "Oh, this is good for the ego. This is good for the soul." You're sat listening to it back, and it's never quite as loud on the watching it back on your phone as it is when you're in there, and you're sat going, "This is crazy. What's going on here?" I was literally on a treadmill, and I was bored on the treadmill, so I thought, why don't I sign up for wrestling training? And now, 600 people in Scotland are buying Chippy t-shirts and chanting for Chip Watson, and then coming up and asking for photos. And I close my eyes to pre-COVID or end of just before COVID, when I was traveling to Chapter 99 for Progress in Sheffield to go meet Chris Hero. And I'm going, no, I'm not Chris Hero. I am nowhere near Chris Hero. But there are people that are traveling in their own right, be it, from London, from a different part of Edinburgh, and who are coming and taking a photo with Chip Watson. And I'm going, you know what? This feels pretty good. This is, I like, it's nice to be nice. It's nice to be liked.
And I suppose it's like when you get little kids coming up for you for photos and all that, that's got to be quite special as well. Is that where the biggest reward? It's like when the kids are getting so invested as well.
Yeah, it's a strange one, because my character obviously does really well with young audiences, because it's super bright and colourful. Again, Mr. Bean Shakespeare kind of thing.
Yeah.
And comes a kid, they come up, they want you to sign their random WWE title belt that they've got, and you're like, yeah, sure, why not, buddy? They want you to sign their t-shirt or a piece of paper they found, and they got their notebooks, and I'm like, your parents might keep this, and in 15 years, when you're 22, 23 years old, they're going to show you, and you're going to go, who was Chip Watson? And you're going to sit and think, and maybe you go, oh, it's the current WWE champion. That'd be the dream. But realistically, you go, oh, it was the Chippy guy, maybe, or like, oh, I don't know, but you asked for his signature. Like, I think it's,
and you were so excited.
Yeah, it's just that thing of, in that moment they're super excited, and in a year's time they might have forgotten who you are, but for that moment you've made a positive impact. And again, the other one that I think I actually really enjoy is when very serious looking men come up and tell me that they enjoyed my character, because it's the exact sort of people that Jim Cornette style people come up to you, and I'm like, you're about to tell me I'm killing the business here, and they go, didn't know what to think, but I loved your stuff. That was good fun. And I go, good. I came out. You saw the look, and you went, I'm not gonna like this guy, and I've converted you. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Again, I just think it's that thing of, ultimately this is a depressing sentence, but ultimately we're all gonna die. Like, or be replaced by AI at this point, one of the two. And I just want to leave as much positive influence on this world as I can. Be that, I'm not a head trainer at the disco school, but I can help with individual people, and I can be there, I can be a support to them, and I can help them in their journey to go be wrestlers. If that's taking 5 minutes to go and chat to a fan who's, super excited and wants to tell me about, their favorite fish and chips order, or people that I've bumped into that you see them at the through a few shows, and just taking the time to remember their face, remember their name, remember the Gavins, the Gregs, the Jessicas at disco, or just not being an arsehole backstage. I'm just like, ultimately, if I decide to pack everything in tomorrow, in the grand scheme of wrestling, I've made no difference. But to a few individual people here and there, hopefully I've left some positivity, which I think is the main thing you can do. Treat it like a job.
Yeah, it's so I've got a friend who's done stand-up comedy, and he just says it's that feeling that for an hour I just had people I never met in my life, probably never meet again, and they were just hysterical and laughed at what I was saying, and just said, and he just said that feeling alone, that all the money could be given, but if that feeling wasn't there, it's not worth it.
Well, that's it, and it's even better in wrestling when it's something that's not planned and you've taken a risk. And like, it can be an off-the-cuff thing. I had a match, comedy tag match, with lots of funny things planned, but at one point I just go, stop hitting them in the wiener, And I was just kind of saying it to respond to something that had been said, but I clearly said it loud enough that everyone heard it. And you just hear this simultaneous group of people that don't know each other chuckling at a 29-year-old man in a chippy outfit saying the word wiener. And you're sat going, you know what? This ain't all that bad. This ain't all that bad.
All right, anything to finish off with, Kenny? We're coming up for our hour there.
I think the biggest question, and I would say, how many free chippies have you gotten? I mean,
you know what? Zero. And this is the big one.
Yeah.
I have not capitalized enough on this.
Oh,
yeah.
My partner works with someone whose parent owns a chip shop, and I have not capitalized on. Hey, listen, you give me some stuff, and I'll do it out.
yeah.
I have not been given any free chip shop stuff this out. There are other restaurants in Scotland that don't have this gimmick that have done it before me. I missing a trick, which is a shame because I love a deep fried steak pie or like a steak pie single. I'm not a big chip eater. It's cannibalism a bit. But deep fried black pudding. If I had, actually, it's probably not good. If my PT is listening to this, even if I had unlimited, I would still have chicken and rice. Don't worry. But no, I not had anything like that. But I will hopefully that or Monster are the two. I think every wrestler wants a Monster sponsorship, and I think they've missed the trick by not doing it with someone. I'm not saying it should be me. They could probably aim a lot higher. But you imagine someone coming out on like AEW, WWE sponsored by Monster Ultra, perfect target audience, wrestling fans and energy drinks.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
It's very strange you say that. Heather was on about energy drinks as well.
It's generally
the world, yeah.
When I leave wrestling, the two things that I will always think about backstage is the smell of deep heat. It's everywhere. Just the amount of specifically white Monsters, because obviously they don't want the calories of a full sugar one. And then just the fact that I have spent many weekends having my back rubbed down by another man because I forgot to tan or they forgot to tan. And you sit there and go, how have I got to the point in my life where I'm just rubbing down another guy? I'm not complaining. It's just, I didn't think this, when I went to university, I didn't think this was the route for do a master's degree, rub a man's back. But, that's the life we choose to live.
Yeah, and I suppose with that, like one last question I have: are you always surprised at some of the people that turn out to be wrestling fans? Because I always am, because there's still maybe a little bit of that bias that wrestling's this kind of trashy, but you find like in the strangest places you'll find the most hardcore wrestling fans, like high up in academia and all these kind of areas. Does that surprise you as well?
It's. So whenever someone tells me they're a wrestling fan, there's two ways that conversation's about to go, which is they talk about World of Sport and Big Daddy, and I go, oh, you're not a wrestling fan. You watched wrestling in 1980, and you're trying to create conversation, and that one's a bit awkward. Or they go, yeah, I'm a big Obafemi fan. And I go, oh, you watched the current you're actually a wrestling fan? Okay, this is interesting. And then you try and gauge what sort of fan are they? Are they like an angry internet fan? Are they like a more chill fan? But the one that actually surprises me more, and there was I think a Speedball Mike Bailey tweet about this a while ago, some of the routes that people who become wrestlers come from is insane. Like, you'll be chatting to some guy backstage whose name's like Johnny Hot Wheels, and he's got like slick back hair, and like he's on a skateboard with fire, and he's helping set up the ring, and you go, oh, how's your day? And he's going, oh, not bad, I'm a surgeon, so I was just doing knee surgery like an hour ago. And you go, what are you don't get me wrong, there's plenty of students and like people who work pretty simple easy jobs so that they can focus on the passion. But you'll be sat in a 6-man tag, and you'll have head of finance for a bank, an Abercrombie Finch model, a rocket scientist, a vet, and you're sat going, this doesn't make sense. This should not be a mix of people. It's the same with, like, again, my homies, the disco boys, my best mates in wrestling. like there's some crossover and interest, but like I don't particularly think that like me, Charles Douglas, Judas Gray, Ronan King, Omar Mohammed, like there's no crossover for us elsewhere, but we've become such a tight knit group of boys because of the wrestling and like just the way that we view it, that you're sat going, this is wild. It's insane. And then every so often a celebrity will pop up as a wrestling fan as well.
Yeah.
And again, it comes back to right, are they about to say that they liked The Rock in 1990, or are they about to be like, oh no? And again, it's that thing of, we're not quite back at that peak popularity. But with Netflix and it being so accessible and like WWE Unreal, there's so many ways into it. Like I know people that like wrestling only because they play the games. They don't watch the show, they just play the games. And because of that, they've like their favorite wrestler is like some random guy that was super overpowered in like SmackDown versus Raw 2012. They're big Ken Shamrock guys, which nobody is, but yeah.
There was, I remember it. Okay, that's just Graham's just messaged me. He was actually on the ferry over, and the signal was awful, so he couldn't. He said he really wanted to listen to it, but he did have a question the other night, and it's the classic one. He's from the West Coast. You're an East Coast man. Chip shops, you know what's coming. Salt and vinegar, salt and sauce.
I'm a traitor here. I will get. So again, this comes back to I don't get chips. Like I will get, if I'm going to a chip shop, I'll get maybe a half fried pizza, some chicken nuggets, and like a steak pie single, which again explains why I need a personal trainer. But I will get salt and vinegar on like the nuggets and the steak pie.
Yeah.
I if I'm getting chips, I can get behind salt and sauce, and you know what? I vigorously defend salt and sauce because it's ingrained in our culture. But yeah, I because I don't get chips, I don't really get it. But yeah, I'm a salt and vinegar guy on my chip shop order. But if anyone ever asks me that in public, I will deny that and talk about how everything's better on the East Coast, and you know, you get the 45-minute train over from Glasgow, and your life expectancy increases 20 years. But it's just one of those. I think a lot of it comes down to I don't like eating with my hands. I don't like my hands being sticky or messy. So even if I have to eat with my hands, I then don't want sauce on it. So salt and vinegar is the one for me. Although I am regularly told that salt and vinegar on chicken nuggets is weird, but try it. It just makes the batter a wee bit spicy.
Yeah. Well, Graham's just replied there, top man, when he heard your answer there. So, so with that, this is how we usually end. Just some quick fire questions. Are you up for a few quick fires?
Yeah. Let's go.
Don't worry. It's not like it's Kenny. It's not like that. It's not like my quizzes that I do for the convention.
Yeah.
Just some fun quick fires. What's the one move that instantly says Chip Watson has arrived?
Slingshot spear.
Okay. Right. If the Disco Fry had an official entrance theme genre, what would it be?
Polka. A polka dance. Something funky and a bit out there.
What's the most Chip Watson thing you've ever done in a match?
I once gave someone a crippler crossface with a battered sausage in their mouth.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Apologies to Jim Cornette for that one.
So this is a brutal truth here. Which Scottish wrestler hits the hardest?
See, my default answer is Aspen Faith, or a backclub from Judas Gray. But the one that sticks out just now, Rabu gave me some stomps in the corner at the last show, and it was I never want to get stomped in the corner again. It was horrific. But no, Aspen Faith and Judas Gray they leave it all in the ring.
All right. What's the one match you'd book for yourself tomorrow if you had complete control?
Me versus Gene Money, or me versus Jack Ripley. Those are the two just now.
Right. What's your favourite bump to give and your least favourite to take?
I like giving a good clothesline because I can control it, and I think I've got a good one. Bump. This is going to be this thing of, and it's a wrestler cliche where it's like, oh, it's not the moves you expect. I went for a back senton off the second. The guy moved out the way, so I was just hitting the mat. But it's a low set ring, so there's not as much give. And there's not a lot of give to begin there. Like, it does suck, but I just didn't expect it to suck so much that I basically just jumped, landed on my back, and went, I'm never doing that again. And then did it the next show. So, as you do.
Yeah, it's like, there's another story Heather was telling us when she's wrestling in Ohio, said for some reason their top ropes are really loose compared to other circuits. And she was saying she found that out to her expense because she likes to do a good top rope move, and said, I've had a few mishaps.
I've had similar. I do, or did the second rope springboard stunner. And you turn up somewhere and maybe they use different ropes or they've not got as experienced people doing it. And I would jump up and the rope would just drop under my feet. And at that point, I've worked out now, I can style it. I can slide out the ring from it and it looks like I did it on purpose. But the first few times, I am just falling. And then you're going, well, there's no way I don't just look like an idiot here. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Well, this might be a controversial one. Which Scottish crowd is the loudest? Discovery, WrestleZone, or someone else?
Right now, for me, when I'm there, it's Discovery. But let me tell you, you annoy the WrestleZone crowd the right way, and that they are passionate. They will queue up at 2:00 for a show where doors are at 6. It's crazy. Wrestling is still real in Aberdeen. I love it.
Who's the most underrated wrestler in Scotland at the moment, you would say?
Oh, underrated in Scotland. Let's go for see, last year my answer would have been Omar Mohammed, and it would have been straight to the point. Bush, bash, bosh. He's so good. He's so versatile. He's evolved so much. But everyone has given Omar his flowers recently, which means that he might not be underrated anymore. I think he still is. And I know he'll listen to this, so I'll say that. But let's go for Finlay Bain. That's going to be my new answer. Guy that was from Airdrie, trained on the West Coast, but started coming to train was at Discovery and took the risk of basically taking himself off shows to become the wrestler he wanted to become. And I think what you're seeing now is the lariat machine. This guy is 6'6", 18 years old. He could be rubbish for 10 years and still be younger than me and have all the time in front. So Finlay Bain, man, he should be getting a lot more opportunities.
Okay. If the disco fry was a finisher, what would it look like?
Oh, I'm picturing, Team 3D did the was up. I'm picturing that, but one after another. Double was up.
Oh, no.
Nice
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, pity the poor guy who takes that.
Yeah, exactly.
Pity the fool, basically. So what's the perfect post-show meal and why is it probably fried?
Oh, I mean, you're not wrong. It's lazy option is McDonald's, and I will just get 20 nuggets. But that is the lazy option. If I've got my option, we're gonna go Wingstop. We're gonna get some fried chicken, and then we're gonna go get a German doner kebab, and we're gonna merge them together, and it's gonna be a heart attack in a box. And again, if my PT is watching, I mean chicken and rice.
And final question we ask everyone, would you ever consider coming up to Stornoway? I think we even talked about this pre-show.
Yes,
so.
yeah, absolutely. So outside wrestling, my biggest passion is travel. I try to, I've been to maybe 42 countries. I'd love to wrestle in 42 countries. That'd be fun. But like, I'm one of those where people would ask, why are you going there? And my answer is just, I've not been before. So if I've not been there before, I'm more than happy to go. Unless it's Celtic Park or Ibrox. Happy to leave those ones out. But
total agreement there, Lee.
Yeah.
But hopefully, we never know. We can meet up one day if you're in this neck of the woods. We'd love to see you.
I've heard some good stuff about the black pudding up that way. So
I was saying when you said deep fried black pudding, I think you can't go far wrong up here.
I've heard some good things.
And if you go to one chip shop, they do the most amazing milkshake to go. It sounds like a bit of black pudding supper with a milkshake, but it is.
Oh,
you know the one I mean? Camerons.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
So, if people want to find you, where can they reach out to you?
At Charlie Watson PW on everything. Main one, Instagram. I was big on Twitter, but then Twitter changed. So Instagram now. I post a load of nonsense on there, but lots of good stuff as well.
Oh, Graham's just said, hang on. I don't know what we're meant to hang on for, but we are just kind of wrapping up. We could talk all night, but I think we do have things to do. Kenny, final thought from you.
Just it was great to have you on to hear your story about getting into wrestling, everything you've done, where you've been. That's why we've been wanting to get wrestlers from Scotland, England. We want to get as many as possible. Just to hear the story, basically.
Yeah, because it's the one thing. Like we have someone else like as part of a podcast. He's not into wrestling, but he's a PhD in Gaelic and languages.
Oh,
but
wow.
What he's saying is like, and he's into his role playing games. And the thing is, like, what moves culture along is stories and characters in everything we entertain. Like, because like when I've heard people wrestle, I said it's the stories and that's what keeps people coming. It's the stories. Like, technically good matches don't keep with you as long as like just the ones which had a good story and just interesting characters for you.
Yeah, I think it's ultimately, again, wrestling sits in this weird thing between sport and like drama. And I think, even if you were to compare it to football, the things people talk about are moments in football. Hand of God, Croatia's last minute, France's winner. I'm just choosing things that are all against England, which I promise is deliberate. It definitely is. But you remember those 90th minute winners, those 4-0, 5-0 wins. You don't think about, oh, I remember there was this really good game back and forth. You might as a neutral, but when it's your team and it's your people, you just remember those moments. So got some big stuff coming up in Discovery. #1 contender to the tag titles. So let's hope that we make a moment there.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and as always, as we finish out our wrestling shows, Kenny, you know what we always say: go out and support indie wrestling if you can.
Exactly.
It's like I said, I don't think we need to explain why. You've listened to Chip tonight. He's made the case fantastic. As did Heather, and I'm sure everyone else will. And just to sign off there, so next wrestling show, we've got the Big Rig coming on, Big Rig Brian Colton. And then after that, a very interesting character in Mickey Knuckles. She's going to be...
amazing.
Yeah.
You're going to have fun with that one.
Yeah, that's what Heather said. We said, we all call her Aunt Mickey. We love her. Said she is such an interesting person to be around as well. Like I said, and I'm just...
Has wrestled in Scotland as well, so they'll have some stories from Bleeding Gums.
So I think I'm the same age as her. I'm just saying, right, my back feels funny if I sleep wrong, and she's getting pounded every weekend, and how's she still doing? I don't know. It's like incredible. Like,
love of the game.
Yeah.
It's all it can be.
Yeah. So with that, everyone, thanks for listening, and we'll see everyone very soon. Good night, everyone.
Goodbye.